Good afternoon. Oh, that's loud. Does anybody know how many cookies there are in those 3-column Oreo packages?
6.
Who said that? How many? No one knows it. So it's 51. And it always blows me away because 51 always sounded like a prime number to me. But it's not. It's like, I don't know, 51 divided by 3 is 17. That has nothing to do with the lecture at all. It's just something that always gets me a little bit animated and excited. And if you're excited by Oreos, you're going to love this lecture, possibly. Because you're about to hear about content-based marketing, account-based marketing, and freight, which always blows people's mind. Thank you, Noel. So I think this is basically like the Wednesday of time slots. Like this is just like varied at the bottom. And if you tune out, that's totally okay. I get it. All I ask that you do is right before you kind of tune out and do your own thing, pick up your cell phone and take a picture of me, and then I get to feel like a baller, right? I get to feel like, oh yeah, that slide was awesome. Thanks. Okay, now we're done. So what I'm going to talk about, and I almost regret having the word views in this title, because I think that one of the things that we as content marketers are worst at is metrics and numbers. Because when you log into Google Analytics, what's the first view that you see? What's the default view? Sessions, right. Which is almost completely like view-based, right? It's just like a user came to your website, and who cares if a user came to your website, right? Who cares? So what I want to talk about a little bit right now, and I will talk as little about freight as possible, is what actually matters. How do you actually come up with actionable tactics? This is going to be in the B2B space. I imagine that most of it works for the B2C space as well. How do you come up with actionable tactics to take your content and actually turn it into ROI, right? Turn it into revenue. The spoiler, basically, if you walk away with 3 things, is that the number of views don't actually matter, right? They're a means to an end, they're not the actual end. You really need to know your audience intimately. We were writing content for a good 2 years before I sat down with 2 of our key kind of like user personas, and I had a long conversation with them. And I realized that I was speaking a completely different language with them when it came to one of our key products. So really getting into their shoes and understanding what they're talking about. And the third, that delivery, distribution, whatever you want to call it, is a key part of the creation process. And if your general style is to first write content and then figure out how to get it out there, you're doing something wrong. So first of all, does anybody here have like 3 blogs that they follow and read every single week? I don't. Like I think that, you know, as people that read a lot, probably most of us are like voracious readers and we really, really enjoy reading. But we've reached the point in the internet where there's just a crap ton of things being produced, right? How many people here have published over 1 article on the internet? On the internets? Wonderful. Over 10? 50? 100? Oh my God. So a lot of ink has been spilled here, and at the end of the day, like it's so hard to get user attention. It's so hard to get people going. There's some blogs we all love, Seth Godin, right? We'll talk about him like he's a god. I don't go and read his newsletter every single day. I don't read it every single week. There's like 0 brand loyalty, and it is so hard for us to get the message out. We did it. Like the people in this room, we broke the internet because we just produce a ton of things, and we are making each other's jobs so much harder. Right? And this is what we did. We created a lot of content, right? There's great content out there that's free. You can go to the New York Times, professional writers, the best writers in the world, and read 5 of their articles. Maybe not New York Times, I don't know if that's a good example to describe it. You can go online and read things from Vox for free, and they are great writers. It's what they do professionally. And of course, there's also a lot of really, really crappy content, right? So there's more things over there. And then retargeting ads come in, and yeah, well, this is kind of your fault too. Retargeting ads come in, somebody publishes content, and they chase you to the depths of hell with their ads, right? You can never get away from them. So it's everywhere, and you can't get away from it. Does anybody here have Shazam installed in their cell phone? Okay, raise your hand if you've used that over 5 times in the last year. I call shenanigans on like half of you. It's there. It was acquired for $400 million last year. The Washington Post was acquired for $250 million. In what world does that make sense? It's because content is cheap. There is so much content out there, and it is so hard to get attention that nobody's reading, and everybody is hemorrhaging readers. Basically, every single person that goes online has created this sort of like Iron Dome defense system that they go online, there's content, it's shoved in their face, and you just try to avoid it constantly, and it makes our job really, really hard. And a lot of people respond to that challenge by saying, no problem, I'll up my cadence, I'll publish twice a day. I'll publish 5 times a day, I'll find some sweatshop in India, and they will churn out 45 blog posts a day. And it doesn't work, and that's not the way you can solve these issues. So maybe it's videos, and I'm sure like videos is a really great way to do that, but what we're doing right now is the same exact cycle with a different media. We're creating a lot of videos. You go through Facebook, and it looks like you're in the middle of Times Square, and my eyes start to bleed because there's just so much things coming at me, and I turn it off, and I go make myself a cup of tea, and I curl under my blanket, and I hope it all stops. It's sad. So a little bit about myself. My name is Eytan Buchman. I run marketing at Freightos. We are Expedia for international freight. So if you ever need to import something and you're in business, check it out. I don't imagine that's really this audience, so I'm just going to talk about marketing instead, which is refreshing. So I have a really hard job. I have to make freight sexy. And it's not a super, super sexy industry. Just for the sake of understanding what I'm going to talk about, we have 2 different products. We sell one to large logistics providers, UPS, DB Schenker, DHL, really, really big freight companies. And the other product we sell to small mom and pop businesses that are importing and exporting. I am going to talk today about reaching these large B2B businesses, right? Getting in the door with content and making sure that you can drive real value. So over the next this presentation, I hate these conference lectures where people come up and they talk about these. Maybe they make some funny jokes and they say these inane, sweeping statements that sound really, really impressive. I'm going to walk through 3 tactical case studies that worked for us. They actually all build upon each other, so it came like a playbook and then a playbook of playbooks. So I'm going to walk through 3 of those. Happy to stop in the middle and answer questions about it or do answers at the end. All the content is available on Freightos.com, so feel free to check it out afterwards. So I'll be honest, I was just looking for a quote with content, and this came up, and I know they're not talking about that kind of content for me. But doesn't it look deep? Wait, can I just take a picture? Just like okay, so I started at Freightos in 2013, and I flew to Hamburg for a trade show. And the first thing I saw when I reached Hamburg was this trade show, 5 or 6 gentlemen staring into a container. Because this is what you do in B2B, you go to trade shows. And then I walked over afterwards to the container and there was nothing in there. And to this day, I don't know what they're looking at. My point being, there's something about containers we can't see. Possibly they use like ultraviolet ink or something. The other point being that trade shows suck. And if you've been there, you know it's a lot of chasing around. There are some companies that nail it. AppsFlyer nail trade shows. There's some companies that really, really get it. It's really, really hard to stick out if you're not writing checks for 6 figures. Right? It's really, really hard to make a big bounce. There's a million vendors, and also, when it comes to B2B, inbound isn't that much easier. This is from when I first got started at Freightos. I landed, September 2013. I'm like, we need a blog. So I started writing a blog, and nobody came. And it was really lonely for a while. And then I came in one morning, and I was just depressed because freight. And I said, like, what I need to do is I need to come up with funny pictures. So I found all these pictures of freight accidents, of containers like falling off of ships and falling onto like cars and stuff. And within the context of the logistics industry, disclaimer, it went viral. And I got a ton of hits because everyone likes to see containers falling onto cars. And nothing happened. Like nothing, not one lead. Like it was just, the cars remained destroyed. And somebody's like clothing was at the bottom of the ocean, but that's it. It was over. So like I didn't get it, and I was despondent. I was depressed, more depressed than freight, just like I was depressed, rock bottom. And then I found account-based content marketing. So account-based marketing is when you choose a couple of specific companies, a couple of specific prospects at each one of those companies, and you just go for the gold, and you chase them, and you make them yours. And we did it with content. So my 3 golden rules, and I feel terrible because I ripped this off from somebody and I forgot who. It might have been Ryan Holiday, it might not have been. But basically, at the end of the day, everything about marketing, somebody either is tuning out or likes the slide. I can't tell now. I kind of buried my letter. So basically, there's 3 rules. Who is your target? You need to know who you are trying to get to, and as I said before, you need to know it really, really, really well. The second thing you need to know is what do they want? Because even if you know them really, really well, if you are creating content about things that they already know, or about things that they don't really, really want to know, you have to remember that your competitor at any given moment in a content ecosystem is not your business competitors. It's a gif of a cat, right? It's like somebody blending an iPhone. That is really, really, really serious competition. Even if it is a Fortune 500 C-level, they like looking at gifs of cats too. right? So you're competing with that at every moment, so you need to know really, really intimately what do these people want, and then the third component, and these are really basic, but I think it makes a lot of sense, where are they, right? Once you know who they are, what they want, and where they are, right, then you can wait outside of their Starbucks and shove your blog post into their hand as they're walking out with their like mobile coffee latte, whatever. So that's all we really, really need in order to make our content marketing work, and I'm going to walk you through 3 steps. The first thing that we did was kind of what I'll call the content mailman. Basically, it's fine, I'll come to you, and this is very, very, very high content marketing. So here's the deal. We were targeting these top 20 freight companies. We wrote the list, and we came up with the top 20 companies that we really, really wanted to hit. And you can call them up, and you can try to chase them. You can try to get a sales guy to get a demo to them. But at the end of the day, they are being chased by dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of vendors that are trying to sell their solution. So we said, what do these people really want to see the most? And if you are a C-level, VP sales, in charge of sales at a top Fortune 500 company, what you're concerned about most is your bottom line. And that means that you're concerned about what are your competitors doing. Freightos sells them automated freight sales solution. So basically, instead of having to call up a guy at this freight company, you'd be able to go to their website and get an instant freight quote, see exactly how much it costs to ship something. So we said, why not play to our strength? So over a couple of dreary afternoons at some point in 2014, I created a fake company. I created a fake website for that company using Wix. I bought myself a telephone number, and I tried to get a quote from the top 20 freight companies. With this fake company, I said, my name is Flash Electronics, Eytan, I'm trying to ship something from Shenzhen to Chicago. Can I get a price quote? And I tracked every single interaction with those people, and I wrote a PDF, and I just reached out. I found the list across the top 20 companies that we wanted to get to. I compiled a list of emails, about 40 or 50 different emails from these people at large companies, and I reached out to them each with a personalized email. And I said, hey, I have data about how your company does specifically compared to the top 20 companies in the industry. And when you send that out to them, and we showed a little like results slide, again, I had no clue what I was talking about when it came to freight. I had actual numbers, which is really, really powerful. And I sent them this like blurred out slide, and I said, hey, do you want to get on a quick call and hear a little bit about the research that we're doing, and hear how your company is doing with it in comparison to the other companies out there. So it was just like really, really simple, targeted distribution right out to their email. And this is content marketing, right? This is taking content, reaching out to somebody and say, here's my content. So it's no different than using Twitter or using YouTube or using Facebook or getting some other newsletter or blog post to sponsor it. It was getting in front of the right people, and they bit. They bit like crazy because everybody wants to see that. 8 out of the top 20 companies within the first week alone got on a phone call with us. And it was incredible. It was crazy to see. It just worked. So we kept on doing it. We started to playbook it. And that's the second thing that we started doing with this. Once we ran 5 or 6 different reports like that, and I went through the entire process of seeing how well each company is doing, and creating that bespoke report that I could put in front of these people, I had this aggregated sum of information across the entire industry. I knew how every single freight company in the business was selling online. So I took all those reports together and I created a white paper. I still don't know why they're called white papers, but we created a white paper. I think at the time we called it a study or research or survey, whatever it is. We said, okay, now we want to get across the board to every single person at large logistics companies, and we all know it's not feasible to do outreach one by one to each one of these top 20 companies. We just want to get to everybody. So we took this we took this aggregate 20 or 25 different reports. We put it all together into one larger report, and we decided to get it out there, right? So we compiled it annually with the data we had already collected. It was repurposing content really, really well. It took us about a week. We actually went to Web Summit, we mentioned the conference before, and it was an atrocious summit. So we sat down in a coffee shop and we wrote it over the course of a couple of days to save some time. We put it out there, and this is, I think, the biggest change here was A, we repurposed content, so it really helped us in terms of saving time. B, we decided to leverage some new distribution tactics. So instead of trying to reach out to people individually, we first took the report and we reached out to the press. And if you are scared of working with press, I came from a PR background, I kind of breezed through it before. Before working at Freightos, I was the IDF spokesperson for North American media. I know what it's like to work with the press, and it's not particularly difficult because they're humans too. And they want to get stories, and they are starving for stories, and there's thousands of people that are pitching them every day. But if you can provide them some content that cuts through that and provides actionable insights with data, then almost every single time they will publish a report. So we reached out to a bunch of people that we'd compiled, a list of people in the trade publications. We got them to publish the report. We started taking the exact report, and this is the copy that you can actually see. The report, put it on LinkedIn. Targeted ads are expensive in LinkedIn, but my God, do they convert well. We ended up paying, and I basically, and I'll be very transparent here, we started doing this in 2015. Every single year I do the exact same thing. I set the LinkedIn campaign once and I let it run the entire year, and it does not need to be touched. It is very, very lazy marketing, but we end up paying about $60 cost per acquisition for C-level leads at top 100 companies, and it just works, and it just keeps on working by itself. So LinkedIn targeted posts, LinkedIn lead forms, which help you get stuff a little bit faster, getting the press on your board, taking the press publications and starting to use them in the LinkedIn ads as well, just in order to get some more circulated copy going on, and just repeating that again and again and again with data-driven content, and it continues to work every single time. What time do I have to stop talking at? A question many people are wondering. How many? 15. Okay, cool. We're moving fast here. So, I mean, these are, I don't know if these company names mean anything for anybody here, but these are very, very large freight companies, very, very good titles, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. This is our cost per lead over here, $64. If you compare what it costs to go to a trade show, when you go into a trade show, as I said, our cheapest trade show would generally run us $15,000, and if you're really, really good, you walk away with 40 leads. Right, so this, from the comfort of my own home, without needing to leave, without needing to look into weird containers, I was able to keep on getting those on a regular basis and push them directly into our CRM and start hitting them up with more content and a good nurture cycle, followed by our salesperson speaking to them as well. But it keeps on working. So one nice side effect of this, and if you're at a startup or at a company that's just getting started with your content marketing, the best thing that I can recommend is going strong in data. And the best outcome of this, and it was totally accidental, was creating a perpetual content machine. Because if you're in an industry that does not work with a ton of users, right? If you could easily highlight 100 or 200 or 1,000 of the companies that you really want to get to that are really, really important, your job no longer becomes trying to come up with insights that are interesting for them, because there's reporters that are trying to do that. There's consultants, there's McKinsey's and BCG's, and it's hard to compete with those people because that's their full-time job, and you're running an entire marketing machine. So what we end up doing every single time is we take the people that have downloaded content from us, and we make them feel special. We say, you guys are at the front of the industry, you know exactly what's happening, you are there, nobody else knows anything compared to you guys. Now that you download that piece of content, would it be okay if I ask you 3 quick questions? And we probably get about a 60% response rate on that because Flattery will let you everywhere. And you ask them 3 questions, we use Typeform for it. You collect that content, you collect that information, and boom, you now have survey data in order to create another white paper, or another report, or another small video discussing the state of the industry. And once you have that content, you do the entire process again, and it builds a perpetual content machine that requires some upkeep. You have to keep on making these people feel good. Once every year or 2, we take people that respond to surveys really well. Yes? Did you have a question? Oh, I just got excited. Someone's listening. So once every year or 2, we'll send out a bottle of wine to these people just because they're our evangelists, and we keep on getting responses from them. And as a result, we can use logos of their companies, of Maersk and of American Airlines and United Airlines. We can use their logos on our content because they're responding to these surveys. Yes.
How did you choose that topic to research? I mean, how forwarders sell online? How did you come up with that topic?
So that specific topic
came.
Yes, that's exactly. I mean, we provide them with services that help them sell online as well, either through our online marketplace or from their own website. Think of essentially when you book a ticket on United Airlines, we create the software for that, but for cargo, not for freight.
And so, have you been pretty consistent with the questions? I mean, over the years, or have you changed?
So my content cadence in general is 1 landmark piece of content a quarter, together with another 8 to 10 smaller pieces of content. 1 quarter a year, we run this exact same survey, and the questions have changed a little bit, but we still maintain the baseline of the important questions that we felt really good. But the truth is that longitudinal approach, it's not critical, it's not necessarily for everybody. The real kernel of what works there is that you are getting industry-wide information from the people that know the industry like no one else does, and you're repackaging it and putting it out there. So the way when we need to come up with like what are those 4 landmark pieces of content that we create once a quarter, we will sit down with 5 or 6 different customers, and we'll ask them, what's on your mind? What's bothering you, right? Not like what kind of solutions are you looking for, not like what kind of features are you looking for, but when you plan for 2020, when you plan for 2025, what's on your horizon? Because you really need the success of any piece of content rises and falls on, is this person going to scroll past this or get an email and say, oh my God, I need that?
But that champion that is your customer is not necessarily the decision maker for your system.
So this is something that a lot of people end up struggling with a little bit. From my perspective, a data point is a data point. And I kind of need to prod myself and the content team into remembering we're not McKinsey and we're not BCG. I could put together the best piece of content that I can come up with. It might not be flawless, right? It might not be incredible, but as long as I personally feel like, yes, this is a good representation of the industry, then you have to let it go, I think, right? You can't like end up hitting like BCGs and McKinseys and compete with them. So another interesting kind of account-based content marketing strategy that doesn't leverage paid advertisements, and it's something that worked for us and worked really, really well. When you're going after specific companies, you have to think about, okay, where are the people at those specific companies consuming their content, right? How are they finding new things? So what we ended up doing was we decided to reach out to these chief digital officers or chief innovation officers or chief transformation, whatever they call themselves. People in those roles tend to be cross-organizational, right? They tend to work with a lot of different departments. And when we thought about that, we said, okay, well, if I can get these guys' attention and maybe get them to share something on LinkedIn, every single person at their company is going to see it because everybody that you're connected to is definitely going to be much more likely to see it. So we reached out, we came up with a list of about 40 or 50 different chief digital officers or innovation officers, and leveraging the fact that we had so many views on our blog so far within the industry, we reached out to them, we said, hey, I run content and I run research at Freightos' blog. We're read by over X, hundreds, tens of thousands of logistics professionals every single week. And we've chosen you as somebody that we want to interview to get insights into where the industry is going. So we basically used a tool called Hunter.io. I think since switched to using Clearbit, but it was pretty easy to do. Created a questionnaire and wrote a pretty in-depth blog post. I love lead magnets, so an easy, low-touch lead magnet to get people to leave their email address was just taking the full text of the interview, because I'd ended up cutting and splicing it a little bit and saying, hey, drop your email to get the full interview text. So this is kind of just like the email that I used to reach out to them, editor of the Freightos blog, logistics technology blog with 20,000 monthly readers, blah, 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 blah. Final question, I send over 3 brief questions, right? This is going to be really, really short. It's going to be really easy. It's worth it for your time. You'll get free visibility out of it. So basically, our distribution was, we took the blog post that we created and we sent it out to the interviewees who we had interviewed, and almost every single one of them shared it on LinkedIn. And from that alone, and this goes back to the title, one company, we only got 98 views from that specific company. Right? We had shared with specific share links, so we knew exactly who it came from. We got 98 views from one specific company, and those 98 views turned into 3 inbound demo requests. Right? Because it's not about views, and it's not about getting a huge number of people come to your website. It's, can I get 3 demo requests, or 2 demo requests, or 1 demo request? We then shared it on LinkedIn with individual company tags. And I think one nice thing about all of us in general is we're content and like marketers are a community. So at least 2 of the companies that we tagged in this saw it and shared the post to their entire company on their own initiative. Right? So suddenly I was just flooding these individual companies with content about their company, and everybody likes to read about their own company and to read about people at C-levels at their own company. And I was just getting a ton of attention out of it from people that had interviewed for us and did the work for us by providing us with content. So stage 1, we got 98 views, 2 out of 5 leads came from that outreach. Stage 2, when we actually started pushing it harder online, 250 downloads of the report, 20 demos. It worked really, really well. So just a really, really brief recap, get to know your prospects really well, find the right data/content, use them interchangeably, but it's really all about the data, and put it right in front of them, and party. One quick thing that I need to say, Freightos is hiring for multiple content marketers. That's where I take you up, and I'm going to put you down. We're based in Jerusalem. But if anybody loves Jerusalem, we have walls, and we have things. If anybody wants to come out to Jerusalem, and you're like, go go to the Freightos website. Go to the Freightos website and find the marketing positions that are available. You can also go to buchman.co.il/work and it'll redirect you as well. The other plug is that I run a marketing podcast called 2 Minute Marketing, which is almost completely content focused. Check it out if you want. Thank you so much for your time and enjoy the